TJ Ryan on pulling the parish of Limerick hurling from purgatory. The bookie who's lumping on a Connacht upset. And a 70s icon hosts its farewell gig. Limerick's hurling devotees are on another Munster final pilgrimage this weekend. TJ Ryan is the man on the pulpit.
Munster hurling titles back through the years, hard to get there, hard to win them. Maybe that makes them a little bit sweeter when you do get there.
To TJ Ryan. The Limerick forwards looking more menacing. Limerick open up a 4-point gap. And it's all over. And Limerick win back the Munster Championship.
Came on the scene in 1994 was my first season, and that happened to be a great season for Limerick. I said, obviously beating Cork first round championship and ended up playing in the Munster final, winning it, and just happened to be a great start for me. And like Munster finals, as Limerick would know, are hard to get to and hard to win, and have proved the same since. So it was a good start for me.
It's all over. Limerick are the Munster champions 2013.
Hurling became the talk of the summer last year, and I think maybe the summer of 2013, especially in Limerick, will be remembered, and people will remember where they were when the Munster final was won.
They've waited some 17 years, but look at this setting here.
In fairness to the Limerick public, they're great supporters, and I suppose maybe give people kind of a bit of a lift in general.
It's Limerick who are Munster champions. Donald O'Grady lifting the Munster Cup.
It's definitely meant a lot, and kind of lit the city up there for the month of July.
A day of joy for everybody in Limerick. A great day for hurling. A great day to be here. And everybody having fun and having the day of their lives.
I've been involved in hurling all my life and just really enjoy it. And maybe when the opportunity arose, somebody new to get in there, myself and Donald got involved, and that was the plan.
Donald O'Grady is back with the Limerick Hurlers. The County Board last night ratified his appointment along with TJ Ryan as joint managers.
It was kind of a joint role early on, and basically that was working very well for us, and we have a good working relationship, and always had and always will have with Donald O'Grady, and he's done a super job. You know what I'm saying? I suppose a couple of things have happened since.
The resignation of Donald O'Grady as co-manager last night of the Limerick hurling team has sent shockwaves through the county.
Look, it wasn't nice, and I suppose it wasn't nice for Limerick hurling to be back in the spotlight again, but look, we've dealt with it, we've moved on, and in fairness to the players, they dealt with it in a great way. I mean, they've been very professional these last number of weeks, and you know what I'm saying, even from my own point of view, we got a great response from them, and we had a good win over Tip the last day, but at the same time, it's only one round of the championship, and you know what I'm saying, we have to move on again now. I see myself very much as part of the management team. We've got other guys there doing a huge amount of work, and you know, they do just as much work, if not more, than I do. Yeah, but I suppose our focus is very much on Munster at the moment, and I basically want to retain our crown. We are the current Munster champions, and basically champions in, I said, in all sports are hard to beat, and we want to make sure that still stays the same. And like, I think that we're well placed. The lads have done a great job so far. Now we got to basically go and push on and try and retain the crown. Pairc and fairness historically have always been very good anyway. So going down there, look, under no illusions. It'll take a huge effort. It'll take everything we have, but at the same time, I believe that we have what it takes. Absolutely looking forward to it, and it'll be a great atmosphere.
Now, the reasonably remunerated lefty Lionel Messi plays his biggest game on Sunday. Cue the countdown of football's Vogue Catobes. First up, the Enigma, who gave us the Fairy Dust Free.
The fans try to hold their nerves. Distance about 45 metres. Here he comes to win the All-Ireland. Cluxton, he's put it over the bar!
At 4, Stephen O'Neill. When he sizes one up, it usually means white flag to follow.
Stephen O'Neill has kicked a second point. It might now be enough.
Oh, wonderful dubbing from Stephen O'Neill. This will be an amazing point. This is an amazing point.
Hair of flax, boots of white, skin of tats. Oh, and left toes like a pianist's digits.
MacDonald challenged by Fitzmaurice. Good-looking shot. It's a huge one. What a point. That's one to lift the crowd. That's one to lift the Kieran McDowell, it's high, it's over! Will he ever get a more vital one than that?
So to Pairc Joyce, who stroked All-Irelands either side of the millennium.
Good pass, Pairc Joyce at the receiving end, and the umpires look and decide it's another one for Pairc Joyce. It's some display now by this wonderfully talented footballer.
Galway show will score, and they do!
Top billing? Well, that goes to the organically untrainable genius who glides him over from hand and field alike.
Causing problems from Kieran O'Connor again, and O'Connor's in real trouble, and so are Cork. This man has got great pace. Here he goes. Dished off here beautifully. What a goal. That's an absolute peach.
As a fabled stadium prepares for its last echo of ash on leather, here's some memories of Pairc Chaoimh. Cold War design for the heat of battle.
At 6 p.m, Frank Murphy, Rooney, Cork County Board, announces the arrival of the platform park.
The old Cork Athletic Grounds was there, and it was decided in the 70s that it needed major refurbishment. A new stadium was opened in 1976 and dedicated to the memory of the late Padraig O'Crieve, who was the Director General and was a Cork man and who had led the association with great distinction.
This is the dramatic scene in Pairc Chaoimh, Cork's magnificent new stadium, which was only opened a month ago. Already they're spilling over onto the sidelines in this packed capacity crowd.
Referee for today's final is John Maloney.
Well, I've been involved since 1976. My second game as team doctor was against Kerry in the Munster final at the opening. I was standing out on the touchline in the first 5 minutes. A classmate of mine, Brendan Lynch, a friend of mine playing with Kerry, fell at my feet with Kevin Kelly, the Cork wing back, two of them flaking each other. Brendan's brother, Paddy Lynch, jumped on top of them, and there was a free-for-all. I'm standing there looking at it, wondering what the hell I'm supposed to do, and that was my introduction.
10 points each, it's a draw, and the crowd way on the field, swarming all over the field.
I think I missed one championship match hurling football in Pairc Chaoimh, which was the birth of my first son, Colm, so I think that was a fairly good excuse.
Chance of the goal here for Jimmy Barry. It's there, and how he loves it. It runs on for Fox, and there's a goal chance here for Tipperary. A crucial one at that. And Dean capable of giving any back a roasting. Fitzgibbon trying to go forward, and outside there's Ger Fitzgerald. There's another goal.
Steele and Chono Alpina makes a miraculous intervention and clears it away.
I've been coming down here nearly 40 years, and it's the same for a lot of people. I was on the Blackrock End Terrace with my late father for either the 77 or 78 Munster final. You know, heaving crowd, really shoulder to shoulder, and any slight event on the pitch, everyone would surge forward and surge back, which was frightening in retrospect, which was great fun to an 8 or 9 year old. You know, it was a bit of a culture shock that there were thousands of people down here who had a licence to roar and use the most incredible language at the people on the field.
And what a colourful scene it is, created by the vast throng of football fans, the biggest hosting at a sports fixture ever here in Cork, surely.
The biggest day here for atmosphere and occasion was to replay the All-Ireland semi-final, when Cork managed to get Dublin down here, which we thought was a great idea, but it didn't quite work out.
There was trepidation throughout the city because the Dubs fans were regarded as kind of a mixture of, you know, Led Zeppelin, you know, the Cossacks of Russia and all talking in, you know, the same accent as Mrs. Brown Boys, and it was really the zombie apocalypse was going to descend on Cork, lock up your daughters. Nothing like that happened, of course. It was a fantastic day. Again, hot, warm day, Blackrock End heaving with the Dubs, with all their banners, etc.
This is Barney Rock. Michael Creedon has to come out. They're in terrible trouble. That's a penalty. Surely a penalty.
And of course Dublin destroyed Cork. There was an apocalypse, it was just out in the field, it wasn't in the nightclubs and hostelries of Cork at all.
In 1990 we beat Kerry to win 4 in a row, and we beat them well on the day, which was unusual. We gave them a right hammering. Naively, a lot of us thought we were on our way and that we'd be beating them for a few years to come. The following year they beat us down in Killarney. But that was a special year.
On the banks of my own lovely Lee.
There were many wonderful occasions here. It was always intended that it would be a recreational area in the promotion of Gaelic games and in the concerts. Saoimh Cush Lee, Michael Jackson, U2 and many others.
There was a furore over the unbridled debauchery at Chaoimh Cush Lee, but I mean it was unbridled debauchery, 70s style. Basically a couple of teenagers, you know, smooching on the 20-metre line. It certainly is an uncomfortable venue. You can't get around that. Sitting can be quite a trial, especially if you're over 5'6" or 7. And there would have been an urban legend for many, many years that the visiting team was given those tiny dressing rooms and that Cork were somehow in a palatial suite. That would be the take-home memory of a lot of players who visit Pairc for the first time.
And the Cork crowd here in Pairc gone mad with joy from a tremendous save.
It's been a way of life. I have 3 boys, Colin, Brian and Cian. As soon as they were able to go to matches, they all came down here. My family have grown up here. This is the home of the GAA in Cork, so it means an awful lot. It's our Crow Park.
It is really a very special place, and it will continue to be in the future.
Don't look so sad.
Both stands will be covered, and we will have the terraces expanded, giving us an overall capacity of 45,000. Additionally, we're creating a centre of excellence for our inter-county teams and for our development squads, and indeed also for our schools and clubs.
People are going to miss Pairc a lot more than they think. Now, they think they're not going to miss it at all, so the standard's fairly low. But I actually think when this place is knocked, people will say, hey, you know, there was a bit of a kip, but from what I remember there, I'm going to miss it.
All the good times.
For Galway manager and bookie Alan Mulholland, business and pleasure butt shoulders for supremacy. It's family, football, and then work that fills the frame.
Business is a family business. It was started by my grandfather way back in the 30s. He was originally from Kinnegad, came to Galway and would have played Gaelic football for Galway, won All-Ireland in 1938. So then in the late 60s, my father took over the business, and he's developed the business up until the early 00s when myself and my brother have taken it over.
Okay, the outright market here.
Argentina, the big bogey, yeah?
Yeah.
And that's tied in with Messi to be top goal scorer, yeah?
The big result we don't want is Argentina to win it and Messi to finish top goal scorer.
Okay.
So let's keep Argentina on our side.
Okay. As an independent bookmaker, we set our own odds. That's the definition of the game. And that can have its problems when you're involved with the football team. So I'm kind of damned if I do and damned if I don't here. If I set Galway up as being favourites, then I run the risk of appearing on the dressing room wall of the opposition. But then if I set up Galway with having no chance and priced them too big, we may win the match, and then I come into work on Monday morning and I'm told that was very good, Alan, well done, but it's cost us 20 grand because everybody backed Galway in the weekend. So what I've learned over the last couple of years is just stay out of it. And I just want to tell everybody, Alan Mulholland does not set the prices on Galway football. Being an inter-county manager, it is a lot of time, and I suppose you do it because you love it. So it's not really a sacrifice for me. And also, you know, at home, I have an understanding wife who is fully supportive of the whole thing, and that's a burden on them. If you're trying to compete with the best, you've got to put in the hours. So people all talk about the sacrifices that the Dublin players make and the Cork players make and the Kerry players make. But it's the teams at the lower end of the scale, I think, make the greatest sacrifice because they don't have the big days in Croke Park. They don't have the media attention, yet they're required to put in the same effort. And you know, there's going to be no championship if you just have Dublin playing Kerry every year and that's it. Okay, guys, well done against Sligo, but we have a big game coming up. The weather's warm, we want plenty of fluids on board, we want a good effort for you for this week into the Connacht final. Twitter has become an integral part of every business, and it's a great way of communicating with our customers directly. Unfortunately, in the last couple of years, we have exited the championship, and we find the most popular question on the John Mulholland Twitter account is the betting for the next Galway manager when we have gone out of the championship.
So to the sadness of the departure lounge and Cavan's Killian Clark's decision to swap the sweat of training for the scent of new adventures. Not all gloom, though, at this American wake.
Loose ball picked up by Killian Clark. He's easily recognised with his bright red boots.
Decided I'm going to head to Boston for the summer, you know, play a bit of football over there, just see something a bit different. We'll see how we get on. I'm very excited about it, obviously. You know, I can't wait to get over there and just get settled down and, you know, get working and that and just start enjoying myself a bit more and get back to playing a bit of football that's, you know, enjoyable. My brother and all my mates went to San Francisco last year, you know, and it was hard enough to not be heading away with them, sitting at home for the summer without them, you know, and that. Yeah, so heading tomorrow morning. Mary, what are you cooking me for my last breakfast? I'm thinking of spinach and bacon omelette.
6 o'clock in the morning. This year he said, I'm definitely going to go, Mum. And I said, well, fair dues to you. I think people forget what age he is. Like, he's 20 now, but people assume he's a lot older where he's not. You know, he's only a young lad, just wants to enjoy himself.
You get a kiss? Everyone in the whole family's just been like, right, best luck and keep in touch and make sure you enjoy yourself. You not get too many years or summers at this, so this is one of the summers you will like.
He's got to watch the Cavan game.
Yeah, I would say we will.
Well, the game's at 11.
Yeah.
Boston time. And you're up there at 4 Boston time. So even at that should be grand.
Yeah, we'll just go. We'll get to an Irish bar now.
When he comes home, he'll not be fit to play football. Cavan will not want him back.
At first I was disappointed, I have to say. But the more I thought about it, definitely the right decision, because I seen the pressure he was under. Everybody wanted a bit of him, you know, and he had no time for himself, really.
Open, yeah. Right. Seriously. What is it? Some sort of St. Christopher medal. You go from minor, then you go into college, and you're playing college football, then you go into under-21 championship. Then you might play a bit of a league campaign with your seniors, then you go into your senior championship, and then we're going back to county under 21, you know what I mean? So it wasn't too much of a break. There was no point in doing something, you know, half-hog. I was going to do it fully, and if my head wasn't in it, there was no point in staying about, you know.
Niall McDermott laying it off quickly for his Killian Clark, who obviously loves to go forward.
Since I dropped myself out of the panel and that, I kind of started like getting back to enjoyment of football. I play more forward position with my club and that, and I've seemed to enjoy it a bit more, you know.
On morning's way, I will journey home.
People that know him see the effort that he puts in. But there is people out there now that is saying, you know, that it's a ridiculous thing what he's doing. Lots of young lads would love to be in the position that he's in. And geez, you're playing for Cavan, and that's why some people can't understand.
There's, you know, big raw Cavan fans that'll be disgusted, you know, they'll nearly be crying when you leave and that, but when people are respecting that, we're just saying, go and enjoy yourself and come back fresh-headed next year and that, you know. In the long term, I'm obviously not going to drop everything and forget about it, like, you know what I mean? I think it's the best decision for the next 2 or 3 months, just take it easy, go and play a bit of football, not as high as intensity, obviously, as county football over here and that, and just when I come back in September, hopefully a bit more fresh-headed and, you know, go back into, well, hopefully if they take me back in, yes, Terry and that, back in the senior panel next September and start training for a league campaign, you know, and give it a right push.
Many times I've tried to cross the walls from
Time to right the listing ship of prediction now. Here's John Harrington's horoscope.
Sunday's Munster final in Pairc and Chaoimh is a repeat of last year's decider, which Limerick won. But despite that, they've been pretty much written off by the bookies, which I think plays right into their hands. Paul Brown was telling me before the Munster semi-final against Tip that people wanted them to go back into the shadows and not reappear for another 10 years. And I think they're going to draw on that anger again against Cork. And if the Rebels aren't, prepared to meet Limerick's intensity with some of their own, then they could be in trouble. But if they do, I think they have a greater craft and class, and that can make the vital difference, especially in attack. They've got players like Patrick Horgan, Conor Lahan and Alan Cadigan, out-and-out score-getters, where in the semi-final against Tipperary, Limerick are very much reliant on Shane Dowling. The one concern I would have about Cork, though, is their dual players. How will they be after playing in the Munster football final last weekend? Aidan Walsh certainly looked a bit flat-footed, and if he's not quite 100% and allows James Ryan to dominate, then Limerick have a great chance. But, weighing it all up, I think Cork's greater firepower will pull the day from. Galway will be out to avenge last year's 17-point hammering at the hands of Mayo when they play him in the Connacht football final on Sunday. That was a really embarrassing moment for Galway football, but I think the team has developed nicely since then, whereas Mayo may have regressed slightly, so this should definitely be a closer game. I was impressed enough by Galway in the semi-final against Sligo, especially their midfield, where Fionn O'Curran and Tom Flynn are a really good partnership, and Shane Walsh does great work at centre forward. So if that trio can perform to the same level, then Galway are in with a fighting chance. Mayo looked like a beaten docket against Derry in the league semi-final this year, but I was impressed how deep they dug against Roscommon in the Connacht semi-final. They proved that they still have the appetite for this. So with their greater experience and their greater physicality, I think they'll have too much for a Galway team that's still developing and is still a bit defensively suspect. The standout football qualifier is the meeting of great rivals Armagh and Tyrone. I can only see Tyrone win here because Armagh are probably physically and mentally shattered after losing the Ulster semi-final replay to Monaghan, whereas Tyrone have had 2 weeks to prepare for this and their tails are up after beating Louth by 17 points in the qualifiers. So all in all, I can see Tyrone winning this and possibly winning it well. The pick of the hurling qualifiers this weekend is definitely the replay between Clare and Wexford. Wexford were super in the drawing game, but I just think Clare have a little bit more room for improvement than they do. Clare will have learned a lot from their failings in the first 20 minutes, and I expect them to go back to the sweeper system that worked so well for them last year. And also, I think one final factor in Clare's favour is 4 Wexford players are involved in the Leinster Under-21 final Wednesday night, which won't do them any favours.
Next week's team